Coming up on Kentucky Outlook, as we speak, area legislators are getting ready for the regular session of the General Assembly in Frankfort, coming your way in January. What will be on the agenda? We'll talk about it next on Kentucky Outlook. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Kentucky Outlook. I'm your host, Barbara Deeb. On the agenda today, we're going to give you a preview of what's ahead for the 2015 Kentucky General Assembly. Joining us in the studio, we have two House representatives, Jim DeCesare, welcome. In addition, we are joined by Jody Richards, representing the 20 and the 21st districts. 17th districts. I always get in there.
And 20th.
And 20th. Forget about that 21st district because we're going to talk about redistricting. Give us a little brief before we get into the 2015. Sure. You were redistricted, okay?
Right.
We just had a November election. How did things shake out as it relates to the redistricting?
Overall, in the House redistricting, I think it was kind of even. I think that's a fair way to say it. Both the Democrats and the Republicans, it was very, very even in the redistricting. I believe there were two sets of Democrats put together, two sets of Republicans put together, and then one set of Republican and a Democrat put together, which I believe for the first time in the history, that's kind of rare because usually the majority party tilts it in their favor. This time it was very fair, and I was redistricted with Representative Embry from Butler County, who in turn ran for Senate and won that seat, and so I came out unopposed, and I represent all of Butler County now and portions of Warren County, so it came out good for me.
Well, and Butler County has a reputation of being a Republican area.
It's a strong Republican county, yes. And then I have some of the stronger Republican areas of Warren County as well.
And Jody?
Well, my district was so large that I had to lose about 10,500 folks. That's always, it's always disheartening because I know Jim was so sorry to lose some of the precincts that he did, and I really was sorry to lose some of the precincts that I did. And this year, even though there was a pretty good turnout in Warren County, the numbers were really down in our district because we had almost 11,000
that weren't going to be showing up. Yes,
that's right. But I think it was really, Jim was right. I think it was fair. It's interesting now that we have 6 legislators, 6 House members in Warren County. I'm the only one that has totality of Warren, but Jim has a great deal. And Michael Meredith, who lives in Edmonson County, has a big hunk of it, 33,000 there about, and Johnny Bell, Wilson Stone, and Martha Jane King from Logan County come in here. So we have our own caucus, and in many ways, that's a good thing.
Yep.
Because if Western needs something, they've got 6 members
6
of the
inputs
100,
on that.
and the same thing about Judge Buchanan or Mayor Wilkerson or whomever. I think it's a good thing.
And it's good because like Northern Kentucky, Jefferson County, Fayette County, they all have their group of legislators, and now Warren County, we have a group of South Central Kentucky legislators that look out for the interest of South Central Kentucky because that's most important to us.
One point I want to make about that too is we really get along well. You know, Washington has its fights every minute of every day, and we don't do that. And we are, you know, we don't always agree on everything, but when it comes to Bowling Green, Warren County, Western, good things for our community, we're there.
You're all working toward the whole, regardless
That's
of your
right.
parties.
All roads lead to Bowling Green.
That's
right.
Did you hear that? You heard it here. Now, but then you've got your hand there, Representative DeCesare, on a green book, and if you could see the front of it, it's basically talking about the topics for the November 2014 topics before the Kentucky General Assembly.
Yeah, it's for 2015, and we can just throw this away because I really don't think some of these things may come up, but these aren't the big items that are going to be on the agenda.
Well, what I saw there was it was published in November of
last
2014.
Month, and it's it's supposed to give us sort of a preview of what's going to be coming up in the next session. It's more of I think some reading material more than anything else, but those aren't going to be the big issues that are in this book.
It's kind of what the committees have been working on.
Yeah.
Because they have to come forward with something to
The
show
global
that you're going to.
issues,
Yes.
but we will have some global issues, but then there will be issues that are important to a community.
A community. Let's talk leadership, okay? Let's
Okay.
start right there, okay? Because when you get to Frankfort, obviously everything starts at the top and then we go from there. I understand you're going to be seeking a leadership position.
I am running for my caucus's whip position, and this will be the second time I've run for leadership. I ran 4 years ago and didn't fare well, but this time it's a little bit different. I've got a little more seniority. I know the institutional knowledge. I have a little more of that now, and have been able to build those relationships with my caucus members, and I feel like this is a good year to give it a shot. And I've always said that I didn't go to Frankfort just to stick my toe in the water. I went up there to make some waves. And if I can do that by being part of the leadership and helping move our caucus forward and Kentucky forward at the same time in South Central Kentucky, then I think I owe it to my constituents. And another thing is that if you look at all of leadership, House, Senate, majority, and minority, we only have one member of leadership that's west of I-65, and that's Tommy Thompson in the House Majority Caucus. And so I felt it was important for our part of the state to also at least to go out there and try to have someone in leadership that represents western part, at least west of I-65.
So you feel like you've got the support in the House this time?
Well, there's 4 of us in the race, so I've been making a lot of phone calls and reaching out and talking to my caucus members and trying to persuade them that I'm the best person for the job. And we'll make that decision the first week of January.
The first week of January. Now, Jody, as Speaker of the House for so many years, you know the importance of having a leadership position like that.
Well, and Miss Barbara, I've got my toe in the water again,
I know.
too.
You do.
I am one of the candidates for Speaker Pro Tem. The Speaker Pro Tem has decided not to run again. In fact, I was going to run had he, and there are 5 of us, I think, but 3 that are serious, I would say. And
who are the other 2?
It doesn't
Dennis
matter.
Keene from Northern Kentucky.
Northern Kentucky?
And Northern Kentucky has 2 members, Democrat members. Now, this, understand, folks, will be in the Democrat caucus and the Republican caucus. That's
Right.
where this starts. Although Speaker Pro Tem and Speaker are constitutional officers, so they would have to be agreed to by the entire House. But
Just a technicality.
the other one is from Louisville, and they're both good friends of mine. I mean, these are kind of inside baseball, but they're both good friends of mine. The Western Kentucky caucus goes from Paducah, goes from the river to Louisville. So it is the largest caucus. We have 14 members, and I have been on their doorsteps and talking with them. And I would like to go back to leadership. I was there 24 years, and so I'd like to go back to that. I think I have a pretty good chance, but
Who knows? Till you get
these
there
things?
that first week of January. Well, fare thee well. We wish
But
you
I
well.
think the important thing, and Jim hit on it, is that we need more representation from this part of the state. As I mentioned, it is in geography, and it represents 2 of the congressional districts, 2 of the 6. So we need leadership from this area. Our area has lots of needs because of Western, because of the road system, and
Sure.
Just
community
our overall
college.
growth.
So
Yeah, the way it's- the
we're
way it's
growing
changing.
so well.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, I want to talk about roads and gas taxes. But before we go to the break, as having been in leadership, Jody, and someone seeking out a leadership position, what's the one thing you want to share with him about that?
What's
Don't do it?
What's the
Words of wisdom that you would share with him.
Come
The
on,
wisdom.
Grandpa, tell me a story.
The wisdom that I would tell you is count well, because it is most difficult things. Now you're dealing with professionals.
I know it.
And so you have to, if they tell you you're sure a fine young man and I like you, that's a no.
That's a yeah. And I will say this though, you know, I have leaned on Jody many times over my 10 years in office for words of wisdom, because he does have that institutional knowledge, and like you said, you know, we may not always agree on everything, but we do get along. So.
There you go. We're going to talk more about that as we rejoin Kentucky Outlook after this short break with Representative Jim DeCesare and Representative Jody Richards. Don't go away. The program is Kentucky Outlook. I'm your host, Barbara Deeb. We're giving you a preview of the upcoming 2015 Kentucky General Assembly with Representatives Jim DeCesare and Jody Richards. And don't forget about checking us out on Facebook, and go to our YouTube page where you can find archived editions of the show and this show very soon. But let's get back to the business of the state of Kentucky, okay, the Commonwealth. We learned that you're both going to be seeking out leadership positions, which we wish you well, because it will bode well for this area. But what's the number one issue when you get back to Frankfort, once the leadership stuff is done? Well, what's the one thing you're going to zero in on?
You want me to go first?
I think probably there are two, but the one big one is trying to work with the pension funds. We have had on appropriations and revenue and in state government had discussion of the pension funds. The KTRS, the teachers
Kentucky Teacher
Pension
Retirement
Fund, they have come with a bonding using their own resources, and it would really help their situation, and I don't see any real downsides to it. I think certainly everything has its risks, but I think that's the way to go, and is the most cost-effective way to do it.
But before you go any further,
Sure.
as it relates to KTRS, Kentucky Teacher Retirement System, how is that funding mechanism? How is it funded?
Well, it's a
'Cause I think
variety
people
of
don't
the
understand.
teachers pay so much.
Right.
The school systems pay so much. The General Assembly has its role in it, and then
what is that role? Like
well,
less than 10%?
the main source should be making money from all this money
That's being invested,
That's being
yes.
invested. Now, and it was doing well to 2008 when the bottom dropped out of everything.
Yeah.
And when you when the retirement system lost billions of dollars in one day, then that takes a long time to make up. So truthfully, it's a shared responsibility. We have tried to look at it and see, and the other part of that double whammy is that state government was really pressed so hard because our tax revenues weren't as strong as they should be. So the General Assembly got hit from both sides, and trying to ante up our share of it has been very difficult. There certainly is a will. I hope people don't realize there's not a will. We just have to find the way to do it, and the teachers' retirement system is in better shape. It and the county employees' retirement system and the judicial retirement system are all fairly decent shape. The one that's really needs help is the Kentucky Employees Retirement System,
KERS.
and KERS, and we have tried in 2008 and then 2012 again to try to shore it up, and we still have to do more.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, for the most part, you know, it's just one of those things, especially with the teachers' retirement system. I think, and Jody can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're getting to the point now where we almost have as many people retired as actually working now. And those numbers are getting closer to each other, and so it becomes a sustainability issue. And keep in mind that KTRS is a special retirement system. It's not like the rest of them because teachers cannot collect Social Security. So we have to be pay a little more attention to this system, because this is the only source of income for
a lot of people.
the retirees, correct? And so, you know, we've got some problems. We're going to have to take a deep, hard look at them. And it's in retirement systems across the board. But, you know, with the market hit in 2008, you know, that's a huge deficit to fill.
Yeah.
And I think the most important of all this conversation is regardless of who's responsible or why.
Yeah, don't look back.
Yeah,
now we
yeah,
gotta
why
move
the funds
forward.
aren't there. I guess legally, it all comes back to the General Assembly. You know, we have that fiduciary duty to those retirement systems.
They all the members have an inviolable contract. That means you can't violate it. You have to give them what is coming. Now, we have tried over years to get the federal Congress to agree to allow teachers to pay into Social Security. That was done sometime back about the time Social Security was
And some
formed.
have.
And so we have filed resolutions and bills and tried to work with Congress to get teachers to be able to pay into Social Security system, and that has been to no avail.
So that'll be on the agenda. Also on the agenda, go by the gas station and guess what? Those prices look pretty good, don't
We
they?
like them.
I do
Woohoo!
too.
But it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Sure.
It's a good news, bad news. Well, the gasoline prices are going down. That means we're not generating as much revenue from taxes. Now, there's a lot, you know, there are those that like to say that the sky is falling, who are crying foul and saying that the roads in Kentucky are going to be hurt because of this. Talk a little bit about that. Is the sky falling?
Well, let me say this. In the years that I've been in the legislature, I have tried to help build a really good road system, and we've done it. We have the best roads, I think, in America. And if you don't think that, drive to Tennessee and drive into that funnel from the 6-lane down to 4-lane, and I just did it, or drive into Indiana and Ohio and have your car shattered by the potholes. I don't know.
Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Yeah.
Oh, nightmare.
Yeah.
And you got to pay $30 to
Well,
drive on it.
that's right. We have a good road system.
Yeah.
Of course, what happened is that when Governor Brown was governor, he changed it from cents to percent, and so there's a percent of the price that you pay, and that goes to the state. So ours has been about even or a little higher with others, but now with this
Lower gas
downturn,
prices,
it follows the price per barrel, and the price per barrel has gone way down. So our revenues, they're saying now maybe at least $100 million less, and that is matched by the feds.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
$100 million?
Yeah, and it's about a little over 4 cents that it's going to go down the first of the year. And also, you got to keep in mind that some of it's matched by the feds, but the road program itself is over-programmed, the road plan. And you know, that's part of it too. We put a lot of stuff in there, and it's a 6-year road plan. But the problem is when you have a shortfall, then you know, the governor gets to pick which projects move forward. And you know, that's always a concern, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on, because you want to make sure you're on the lucky side of getting your projects picked. But you know, I also think that, and this is something I haven't talked to Jody about, but the gas tax is going to become a regressive tax eventually, and we need to be looking at new ways of funding our roads, because as we make you know, more fuel efficient vehicles, lighter vehicles,
Electric vehicles.
Yes.
You know, there's going to be less fuel used for those vehicles. Plus, you know, with the production of domestic fuels now, because the big reason why some of the prices have gone down is because of the fracking and the production that's going on right here in the United States. So we're really going to have to not only start thinking about the problem at hand, but be thinking about the problem that's
future.
coming.
Yeah.
Because
And let me tell you, anytime you have to add a new tax, or it will be a bear to deal with. And so, I mean,
Tax is just a dirty word, isn't it?
It is.
When people
and-
hear that,
Yeah.
yes.
It is, and yet they are necessary to keep roads going and,
Sure.
and everything. Now, I wanted to mention that I-65, of course, we've worked so hard to get I-65 6-lane through the state. Now, if you'll notice, Tennessee's not 6-laning any of their rural highways. We're about to finish ours, and there's only 8 miles of I-65 that
Is
has
that
not been
true?
left. Has
8
not been
miles
left.
left?
It's
Only-
just south of E-Town.
Yes.
Wow.
And so once that is, they will let that probably in a year or two, and we'll be able to go to E-Town.
And then we'll have to start repairing where we began, right?
Well, you know,
Right.
fortunately the roads are, you know, they're wider, they're better, you know,
And they're balancing the
holding up.
traffic.
And let me tell you, Scotty does a great job. I mean, they really do a good job. When
The
we came back,
contractor for the
Yeah.
road.
when we came back into Kentucky from Tennessee Monday night, Sunday night, when we got into Kentucky, it's just a dream.
You could tell the difference in the roadways. So this, you'll propose something maybe to take a look at?
I don't know if I'll propose anything in this session, but I think what the debate will be in the General Assembly this year is whether to freeze the floor retroactively, the average wholesale price of gasoline, which Jody referred to, which is where the tax is based on. I think probably the more viable solution that everybody can come to some kind of agreement on is not allowing that tax to go up or down any more than 10%. So let's say come this January, if we had that in place right now, it would only go down a couple of cents instead of 4 cents. So that might be the compromise. We'll have to wait and see, you know, what shakes out when we get back in Frankfurt. And but there are some that are arguing for raising the floor, and others that want to, you know, maybe do this 10% one way or the other.
So to be determined. You know, when you were out and campaigning and just being out there meeting with your constituents, you hear jobs? People want jobs? Or are you hearing that the economy is doing better for our citizens?
Here the economy is really doing well. Before we came, I went out to the expansion of the Bendix Brake Company, and I think they said that this was the 8th new industry or expansion that we had. Last Monday I went up to the Trans Park, where we have another, for that groundbreaking, where we're going to build another spec building, the 6th spec building. This area is doing well. In fact, there are some of our businesses, some of our industries need employees, and they're having trouble having the proper training and the kind of fit for those jobs. We have jobs available here, and I'm really proud that our area is doing so well.
More job production in the last 10 years in this area than anywhere in the state.
Last 10 years,
Yeah.
we have led the state in
job creation.
economic development.
So when you're out and about, people are not, that's not what you're hearing.
People, when I walked on doors for 17 weeks,
Knock, 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 he said.
leading up to November the 6th, and it was our 4th or whenever that.
Yeah, I was going to say it was the 4th.
The 4th. Well, I took 2 extra days. People are pleased to live here. They like living in our community. One fella brought me up on the porch and said, there are 4 things I want to talk with you about. Of course, I was anxious to move on, but I went up and listened to his 4 things, and they were things that essentially we were working on and moving ahead on. But people like living in Bowling Green. They like the quality of life that we have here. They like our education system, the higher education system. They just like it.
They like it. But now Butler County you're representing. So what are you hearing from people in those parts?
Now, in Butler County, it is a little bit different. It is about more economic development opportunities, and those are things that we're gonna be addressing. And for those that are watching the show in Butler County, the 4th Saturday of every month, I will have a mobile office up there in the courthouse. so people can come by and see me, and I can learn more about the area and find out, you know, what their concerns are. But even though redistricting took place almost 2 years ago, it's hard to believe. I've been going up there ever since then, even though technically I don't think I'm going to take over until January. So I've been getting to know the people up there and find out what their concerns are. But economic development opportunities, job creation, those are the things that I'm hearing a lot about, and those are the things we're going to work on.
On the economic development front, real quickly, I want to talk about the airline service. We're trying, the Chamber of Commerce, the governments have put together $2 million, the airport board, and we're trying to attract scheduled airline service to Chicago, and then hopefully after you get that done to the south somewhere, maybe Florida someplace, or Atlanta.
Florida would be
so
nice.
we can all take a vacation. We're just about out of time.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, as we speak, the elections are going to be coming around again, and we're hearing prospective gubernatorial candidates. You want to throw anything out there for what you're hearing?
I'm
You're
here
not a candidate?
I'm here to announce that I will not be running for any state office this year.
But from what you're hearing, are we going to have a good candidate pool?
So far, it seems pretty decent. I mean, I don't think we're done yet. I think some more people will jump out as we get closer to the filing deadline. That last week of January is always fun to watch.
On the Democrat side, we only have one candidate announced for governor. Well, we've got two, but one that I would say is serious, and only one candidate for attorney general, which is the other really important substantive position. So I suspect. And there's only a month and a half till the filing deadline. So
right. And I don't think we have anybody on the AG office yet.
Not yet.
And we have two on the governor's race, and then I think both sides have one for the ag commissioner position, and then, you know, treasurer and secretary of state in those positions as well. So
Secretary of State probably will be Allison, and probably no one else on the Democratic side.
Fun to watch. Fun, but you're not running for governor again.
No, I've had that twice, and that's enough for me.
He says, I'm done with that. Well, let me just say this. Good luck to you in the 2015 session. We'll get you back in here during the session to see how things are going.
Thank you.
But we wish you well, and thank you for spending time with us. We've been talking with Representatives Jim DeCesare and Jody Richards about the upcoming session of the Kentucky General Assembly. You'll be back in Frankfort on what day?
6th.
January 6th.
January 6th. Be there or else. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of Kentucky Outlook. I'm Barbara Deeb. Glad you joined us. High noon.